It's been pretty great cleaning up my studio these last few weeks. Finding all kinds of old art supplies, old art projects, all these old photos of me when I was a baby. But most importantly, I found my Marvel Comics Tryout Book. Sometime in the 80s I got this. I was 11 or 12, and while I may have been a lot smaller, my dreams were just as big.
When I grow up, I want to work for Marvel Comics. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll work in the mailroom, I'll take out the trash, I'll even be an inker if I have to.
Hey homies, what's up? Ryan Winn here with another installment from the official Marvel Comics Tryout Book. And today I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about the inking section. This was my favorite section as a kid. It's what I do professionally now as a comic book creator and craftsman. And I'm really excited to dig into this chapter, so let's take a closer look. Now look at these tools. This was from the 80s. They've been using these tools for 20 years already. Alright, FW India ink. Check. Pro White. Check. Let's do some pen comparisons. We've got a big nib. We've got a Rapidograph Tech pen. We have our sable hair brushes. And we have our Hunt 102 style classic mapping pen. Same tools today, same tools yesterday. Although I do like this one. It's called Snowpake. It's a super corny name for one of the whiteouts. That's pretty funny. And somewhere I have an old jar of Pelican drawing ink. And part of my old inks collection. Alright, let's get into some of the tools and technical information. The inker literally redraws the penciler's work in ink right on top of the original pencil lines, making the drawing darker, sharper, and less smudgy, and thereby more suitable for printing. And we went over the tools before. Inkers generally use India ink or other indelible black inks, available at any art supply store. Pro White, still a common opaque white that is used. You can also just use acrylic paint. I'm very fond of the Pentel whiteout pens that you have to shake. They're blue with a white or clear cap. People like Winsor & Newton brushes. I'm fond of Raphael. And even cheap synthetics from the dollar store have actually been pretty fun to play with. Not as good, but still fun to play with and usable. The goal. As previously stated in the introduction to coloring, the primary purpose of all of the individual creative processes that go into comics is storytelling, conveying the story in the best, most effective way. How can an inker, who is only finishing and embellishing the penciler's work, contribute to storytelling? The inker can't alter the dialogue, and must work with the drawings provided by the penciler. But he or she can follow these priorities. And then these are the same as with coloring. Clarity, depth, convincingness. Clarity, make everything as clear as possible. Make it easy for the reader to see what's going on. Depth, you can use value to create depth. Thickening outlines of closer things. Black areas come forward, white areas fade back. Here's that cool word again, convincingness. Creating mood, effect, and the illusion of reality. And again, I love that. Give it a try. Alright, let's take a look at what young Ryan did in his inking tryout book. So, as you can see here, it's another stripped away part of a comic book, as the book has been leading up to this. We started with a full comic, Then we lost the colors. Now we've lost the inks, and it's just down to pencils. They provided you with blue line so that you could photocopy the work, and the blue line would disappear. That's due to a filter in the camera. Some old school process stuff there for you. And they would pencil it, and they would letter it in ink like this, so that the inker wouldn't waste any time inking things that were going to be colored over, or lettered over. Looks like one of the first things I inked was Robbie's face. I was using a Pentel fountain pen, found in my grandpa's studio. You can see it kind of like bled out. But whatever, I was having fun and I was learning. So I was really into the way John Romita Jr. shaded in his black areas. You can see here with the shading, kind of the side of the pencil filling in the blacks. Usually that would just be solid black. And even at a young age I found that really fascinating, and I wanted to try playing with those inks. So it's really funny looking at this now. It looks, it's very sloppy, of course. There's not much here. I was 13 years old doing this. But there's elements of what I do now. I would render this out. They'd be much thicker lines and much heavier and less white space in between them. But I would be following those same patterns. I would have done this same thing here. Very similar. Just much neater and with much more control. But I was really fascinated with the way John did that. It blew my mind seeing that too. I'd seen pencils here and there from certain creators in like comics journalism magazines and things like that, but I hadn't ever seen John Romita Jr.'s stuff, and this was just blowing me away. Again, very sloppy, but I tried to put a lot of care into the eyes. I knew that's where all the details should go. I have bummed Peter up here. Peter always getting bummed. All he wanted to do was get a gig taking pictures of something besides Spider-Man, and J. Jonah Jameson gotta get up in his grill and tell him that's all he's good for. It's a broken up Aunt May. Sloppy, sloppy inks. And then this was something I was doing apparently, which was Peter was hanging out with his shirt off, just pants and socks, and I saw this as an opportunity to add the black costume. Definitely not something I recommend doing if you're a professional, but when you're just a kid having fun, whatever. I'm hoping I added these spider webs under the table too, but they were probably there. Let's take a look at this lettering really quick though. Jim Novak on hand letters. The broken whisper balloon. Or actually that's distance. They're showing distance. No, that's broken whisper balloon. Bold lines, bold confident text. Easy to read. Some thought balloon there for you. Thought balloons are a great device. Underutilized today. People think they're cheesy, but it's a great tool in a comic book. I should probably scan these too. In the second set of pages, we find Peter still brooding, being bummed out. Look at that amazing John Romita Jr. face. Look at it in focus there. Classic Marvel. Then we cut to Doc Ock hanging out, being bummed that he's poor, always being humbled. I thought this was so well inked when I was a kid. I was so proud of this panel, man. It's so chunky and marker inked and sketchy, but I remember that gave me a lot of confidence finishing that panel. And that little lesson there is complete things. Give yourself little projects that you can complete, and it really gets you going. Gets you going for the next project. You get that little sense of accomplishment. Now, I don't know what I was doing here. Just going in with marker. It must have felt good with a brush marker. I don't know. His thugs. Drawing in a weird Daredevil mask. This is the kind of thing I probably did this, then felt bad that I did it, hated it, and closed the book for a week or two and didn't come back. I always enjoyed when TVs were in comic books. Spider-Man. That was probably there, but again, look at this beautiful Jim Novak lettering. All done by hand. And here we have Peter stepping up and being a hero again, realizing that he's been given great power and great opportunities. This was another piece that gave me a lot of confidence. I inked this and I was like, I'm going to be a great inker someday. Can't really tell. It's pretty scratchy. But it was a lot of fun, and it really built my confidence to finish that panel. After this, I went off and drew a bunch of my own samples where I mimicked or copied or swiped, whatever you want to say, Art Adams' X-Men pages. I redrew them myself. I'll find those and share them sometime. Now this last page was done like a year later. I think I was 14 when I did this page. So a lot more confidence in the line work. I knew a little bit more about rendering. Yeah, the hair is much more confident. I was very comfortable. These are quick, fast lines. I was in there, I was shading, I was going in there. Thought I knew what I was doing with hatching. That's still really sloppy there. I was probably going to fill that in all black. Filling that in all black. I was done doing the shadiness. Jacked up nose, man. Need to go fix that up. Sorry, Robbie. So the thing with inking is, you're going to always be bad when you start off. It doesn't matter if you're 12 or 20 or 30 or 40. Your early line work is going to be shaky. It has nothing to do with age. It has to do with experience. So whatever tools you choose to use, you want to get comfortable with them. You want to be confident with them. And that takes experience. 10,000 lines with a brush or a nib or a pen, and you'll gain confidence. 20,000 and you'll be pretty good. 30,000, you got a chance at a career. 40,000, you realize there's still stuff to learn. The entire thing's a process. Your whole life is a process as an artist or a craftsman. You just got to start, whether it's for fun or to make a living. You just got to sit down and do it. What would Shooter say?
Give it a try.
So I'm thinking of scanning these pages so we can take a better look at them, and then maybe even giving an opportunity for me or some of you to ink them up. Do our own Marvel Comic Tryout. Maybe that's how we end this segment of videos, is everybody chips in and does a piece of a page or do your own panel or something like that. Alright, well that's it for this episode. Next time we'll go into lettering, which is one of my favorite crafts in the comic book world. Of course, this is old school. Look at this. Lettering guides, T-squares, tape, all of this in the next episode. Take care. Stupid cat.